Hey guys, welcome back to Fight Insight. We are here to talk about Jorge Masvidal versus Kamaru Usman. I'm super excited for this fight. I was excited for the Gilbert Burns-Kamaru Usman fight. I think that Gilbert Burns was a real live dog in that. I actually think that Gilbert Burns might be the toughest matchup in the division for Kamaru Usman. Him and maybe Santiago Ponzinibbio if he could stay healthy for once. But I'm super excited about this fight. I'm more excited about this fight because there's so much storyline to this fight. There's a lot more hype behind it. So let's get right into it. Let's start with Jorge Masvidal. Jorge Masvidal has looked like a new man since what he calls the resurrection. And over the past week, I've went back and watched all of Jorge's fights, and there is no doubt about it that after Jorge did that reality show, he came back and he was a new person. Even in his interviews, he seems a lot more mature and grown up. He just seems different. Back in the day, Jorge was mainly a counter fighter, and he's always been a real relaxed guy in there. And the problem with him is he had a false sense of security in fights. Like, he thought he was winning rounds that he wasn't. You see that, I'll talk about that in the Holloway fight. You see that with John Jones. You see that with Max Holloway in his last fight. You see that with Jose Aldo in his fight against Alexander Volkanovski. You almost always see that with the Diaz brothers. But they get this idea that they're winning rounds that they're not, so then they don't have a sense of urgency. They're just too relaxed because they think they're winning when they're not. And Jorge used to do that all the time. Since the resurrection, though, Jorge has a lot more sense of urgency. He's really trying to get people out of there. And he doesn't sit back on counters anymore. You see Jorge getting things done on the front end a lot more than he used to. In his fight with Darren Till, he was starting a lot of those engagements, really in all of his fights recently. His fight with Darren Till, his fight with Askren started with the flying knee, his fight with Diaz, he started most engagements, which is something he didn't used to do in the past. To touch on that a little bit, Jorge, not only is he starting engagements now, he's starting engagements in these really tricky ways. Dan Hardy calls them chaotic entrances, where he does this shuffle step, like he'll switch stance twice while he starts the engagement. He'll come at you orthodox, be in southpaw, and then end in orthodox, meanwhile throwing a combination the whole time. And it seems to really, Darren Till, it knocked him out. It seems to really catch people. They just don't seem to have an answer for it. So it's a new aspect of his game, and he's had tons of success with it. I'm really interested to see if, against Usman on Saturday night, if he's going to have success with those entrances. He might. It's very tricky, and so far nobody seemed to have an answer for it. Another thing about Jorge is he has a very underestimated kicking game. In watching his fight with Darren Till and watching his fight with Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal has such a mean body kick. He dropped Nate with it. He hurt him a couple times with it, and Darren Till started to drop his hands after he got hit with a couple of them because it is super mean. There's no load up on it. There's no tell. It's just whack. And you could see there's so much power in it. It's one of the best body kicks in the game out there right now. Nobody talks about it, but Masvidal's body kick is fucking fire. That is a great body kick. Another underestimated aspect of Jorge's game is his grappling. How many people have we seen roll around on the ground with Demian Maia for 15 minutes and not get submitted in a rear naked choke? Demian Maia seems to have a magical ability that at the moment you hit the ground with him, you got about a minute before he's going to get you in an RNC. And Jorge spent tons of time on the ground with Demian, and Demian couldn't get him. He dominated, he controlled him, but he couldn't submit him. And Demian Maia has said on the record now that Jorge Masvidal had the best jiu-jitsu he's ever faced out there. So, and I don't think Jorge's really known for his grappling, but look at him versus Michael Chiesa. Michael Chiesa is a really good grappler, and Jorge submitted Michael Chiesa. He He out-grappled James Krause. He out-grappled Derek Cruikshank. Jorge's grappling is really good. I mean, he trained with Colby Covington forever. He trained with Yoel Romero. He trained with Alexis Villaseñor. I'm not saying his name right, but he's a two-time gold medalist wrestling champion. So Jorge's got tons of wrestling experience. He's got tons of jiu-jitsu experience. So he's a very good grappler, and you just really never hear about it. Another thing about Jorge that I think he's going to have on Kamaru is he's got that killer instinct. Jorge's a dog, and since the resurrection, he is there to put you out, and he makes you pay heavily for just the tiniest little mistakes in the fight. He could get you right out of there, and I'm really excited to see if he can. I hope he can. We've never seen Jorge Masvidal broken. We've never seen him in there and look like he just gave up on the fight. We've seen him be a little lackadaisical. We've seen him slow down. We've seen him get tired. But I've never seen Jorge look like he wanted out of the fight. Never. Granted, Jorge doesn't take a lot of damage, but never seen him broken. And that will be interesting because that's Kamaru's thing. Kamaru breaks everybody. Everybody eventually doesn't want to be in there with him anymore. He usually he does that by zapping you of your energy, but he does break your spirit, and we've never seen Jorge's spirit broken. So it'll be interesting to see if Kamaru can't break Jorge's spirit. We'll see how that plays out. Last but not least, last thing I'll say about Jorge is Jorge has his best performances when he doesn't like you. He didn't like Michael Chiesa, and he finished Michael Chiesa with a submission, who most people would have thought that was the better grappler. He didn't like Cowboy Cerrone, and he knocked Cowboy Cerrone out. Didn't like Ben Askren, got the quickest knockout of the year, or in the history of the UFC. And he doesn't like Kamaru Usman. And Jorge, from watching all of his interviews, is Jorge seemingly by code is going to be a sportsman about it. He doesn't want to be disrespectful. I don't think he wants to have a bunch of shit talking when you guys aren't going to fight. I think he's just hood like that, and he's like, well, if we're not going to fight, I don't want to sit here talking shit for the next month or so. So I'm not gonna talk shit about you. But maybe he should talk more shit, because when Jorge does talk shit, when he doesn't like the guy, he seems to have his best performances. So all those things put together, Jorge being so dangerous, him being a whole new fighter since the resurrection, him not liking Kamaru Usman, I think Jorge is a real live dog in this fight. And I can't wait, actually, just talking about it right there. I mean, I almost have convinced myself that Jorge is going to win this fight. I'm super excited about it. So now let's talk about Kamaru Usman. Usman has very underestimated striking. Obviously he's known for his wrestling. I think he's got some of the best wrestling in MMA. He's just very dominant there, but his striking is really good too. I don't think anybody's ever outstruck Kamaru. In his fight with Leon Edwards, and Leon Edwards is an excellent striker, the only person who got rocked on the feet was Leon Edwards. And granted, of course, Kamaru makes you think about his wrestling, which really opens up his striking. But his striking is good. It's long. It's rangy. He's really comfortable with striking. You could see it on his face. You could see it in his body language. He's not uncomfortable in striking exchanges, except for I take that back. He's not uncomfortable with the first part of a striking exchange. I don't think he's terribly comfortable about the second, prolonged engagements. I don't think that's his cup of tea. But for the first order of the striking exchange, he's very comfortable with it. Like I said, I think he's got some of the best wrestling in MMA. It's good MMA wrestling. He's very sticky. I heard somebody describe Khabib like that, where once Khabib or Kamaru, once they get their hands on you, I've never seen somebody just shrug them off or just boom, shake them off. Never. They seem to be, Kamaru seems to be stuck to them, like he's got glue covering his body. And on top of that, when Kamaru pushes you up against the fence and he stays stuck to you for a long period of time, it's almost like he's sucking the life out of you. You're not even 100% sure what it is that's making the other guy so tired. But if you look at their face and you look at him in between rounds, Kamaru is just draining their stamina by having his hands on them. Could be because they're being demoralized, they can't get the guy off of them. It could be because they're trying to get him off of them, and he's just so strong in those control positions. But yeah, he just seems to suck the life out of people. Kamaru is incredibly dominant in the clinch. It's actually probably the most excited thing I'm waiting to see on Saturday is who's going to win the clinch battle, because Kamaru has owned people in the clinch. He owns Tyron Woodley in the clinch. I mean, there's not even a point to name people. He owns everybody in the clinch. He gets one overhook and one underhook. That seems to be his position, and he beats on your body with that underhook. He beats on your head with the overhook. And anytime you seem to try to answer that, he'll just throw you to the ground. So he'll either get a bunch of chip damage and earn a bunch of control time and earn a bunch of points through chip damage, or he'll take you down. But the clinch seems to be a sweet spot for him. What'll be interesting to see, though, is Jorge. The clinch is a really good position for him too. He tore up Nate Diaz in the clinch, and Nate Diaz has got a really underestimated clinch game. And he tore up Cesar Fiera in the clinch game. And Cesar Fiera was a big, strong grappler who used to be a middleweight, who was way big for welterweight. And Jorge got him out of there in the first round, just ate him up in the clinch. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the clinch fight between the two of them. And I do think that a lot of this fight will be in the clinch, well, depending on how the clinch goes for Kamaru, because I think Kamaru, who was training for Gilbert Burns, I think just looking at that style, I was going to make a video for that. Kamaru brought in Cosmo Alexander. He went and trained with Justin Gaethje, who I actually think is a great look for him to fight Gilbert Burns. I actually think that Kamaru is a great look for Justin to fight Khabib, so I think that makes a lot of sense for them to train with each other, considering who they thought they were going to fight. But Kamaru versus Gilbert Burns, stylistically, I think it made a lot of sense for him to stay rangy on his strikes and to have a stand-up battle, or if they are going to have a grappling battle, that it should just be up against the fence. They probably shouldn't be on the ground. Gilbert Burns got an excellent jiu-jitsu game. Not that Kamaru couldn't hang with him there, but why even risk it? So I think that Kamaru's plan was to stand up with Gilbert and to push him up against the fence. Now I think his game should be to push Jorge up against the fence and then to get to half guard, because that's another super dominant position for Kamaru. He does hip riding really well. He does a lot of great work in half guard, and he tends to just spend the rest of the round there. Another thing about Kamaru is his workload, which this is something I really worry for Jorge, is nobody's kept up with the workload that Kamaru puts on you. Nobody. And I don't think Jorge can keep up with it either. He needs to catch Kamaru, because Kamaru will put such pressure on you, make you work so hard, make you work so much that you gas out. Everybody gasses out. Maybe Jorge won't, but I think that he can gas Jorge out. The workload that he puts on people is special. It is something special, which really brings me to the fact that Kamaru is one of the most physically dominant fighters. He's such a physical specimen. He's so strong. His cardio is so great, and you don't usually see that. You don't see guys who are that strong, who use so much strength in their fights, keep that for 5 rounds. And Kamaru can. I mean, it's really special. His ability to put that on you it's very special. But last but not least, I think the most special thing about Kamaru Usman is his mind. I think that he is a mental juggernaut. That man is up there with John Jones. He just has this mind where he thinks that he has manifest destiny, that he's just greatness, and through all my years of watching fighting, that mindset is one of the most valuable things you can bring into that ring with you. And I think that Kamaru has it to a super high level. So that being said, while I do think Jorge is a live dog in this fight, and I think he can get things done, I think that Kamaru is ready for 5 rounds. I think that he will gas Jorge out. I think he's going to be a little too strong for him. I do think he will probably be able to control Jorge. So yeah, I mean, if I were to put money on this fight, I would definitely put it on Kamaru. I hope I'm wrong. I love Masvidal, and I hope I'm wrong, but I wouldn't put money on Masvidal. I think Kamaru will win the fight. All right, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.